Yes.
The Lexus and the Olive Tree was the book I was thinking of.
But why would this make sense now, Rick? It was a conversation we were having before the show.
Yeah,
Alexis
before
and
we
the Olive
just
Tree.
started the show and went live
Check it out.
right now.
All right. Hello and welcome to the Comedy Studio Podcast.
The only
podcast. It seemed like you were so jaded as you said that.
Woo!
Just another day at the office. The only podcast.
No,
Yeah,
more
I-
ISIS talk before the podcast. Whoop-de-doo.
I'm your host, Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. And my co-host here is Smithers. Welcome.
Woo!
I'm your host, Danny Hatch. Your other host is Eli Levy. Welcome, Eli.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, it's going well. I haven't checked in with you in a while about the Leon book.
It's good. I will say it's probably better as an audiobook because it's like it's all written in JB Smooth's voice. So
Yeah. You think he recorded it himself, or did they get some voiceover hack?
I think it'd be funny if they got Larry David to do the
That would be funny.
the audiobook.
But you're enjoying it? Still some good life lessons? Fuck more?
That is mostly the book is just fuck and how to not get in trouble for fucking.
Put a lot of baby powder down there, as I recall.
That is one of his advices. Yeah.
I remember that from the show. Well, good. I'm glad that you and Leon are still on good terms. Our special guest today. He's the owner of the biggest dildo I've ever seen in my life.
You did not write this ahead of time?
I always
you
forget.
Put
Nah.
some work into it, for God's sake.
Oh, please. Don't talk to me about putting work into this podcast.
Comedy writing, jeez.
Do you know how much of a struggle it is for you to even have batteries in your microphone and you're telling me to put work into it?
How dare you?
Our special guest is the inventor of the only hot sauce that's safe to use as lube. Please welcome to the show, Ricky Ticky Jenkins Tavi.
Thank you. Insert applause.
Oh,
We can do that now.
there you go. How's that?
Oh, wonderful. It's so nice to have an audience for these. They're so polite. What's up, Rick? We were talking about ISIS before the show. Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Lots and lots of stuff happening. Yeah, we can jump on any topic. I'm ready. Well, except for, using baby powder for fucking. Other than that, I'm...
Yeah, that's off the table, but ISIS, now that's...
No, I'm just saying I have nothing to say about it.
You never tried it?
No,
Fucking-
you know what? And now we're thinking baby powder, that might be part of the whole Alzheimer's thing. Is the
really?
What is it? Johnson and Johnson's just lost a big lawsuit or something because it's now it's looking like baby powder had some aluminum in it that was not good for you.
Really? Wow.
When was this case?
I think it was just recently that Johnson and Johnson settled it.
So somebody brought a suit to Johnson & Johnson because I'm assuming they have a family member that has Alzheimer's, and they're linking that to that person's continued use of baby powder?
Let's see.
Specifically on their
For
balls?
CNN, Johnson & Johnson will stop selling talc-based baby powder. So apparently, Johnson & Johnson will pay more than $100 million to settle over 1,000 lawsuits,
Oh.
alleging the baby powder causes cancer.
Oh, so
Oh,
not
cancer.
Alzheimer's, but
Wow.
cancer.
Well, there's nothing to be done
Yep.
about cancer. Well, good. I'll be sure to refrain from using
Is it
that.
was it specifically for use on the balls?
Is that how Lance Armstrong got it?
Ball cancer, very common
Yeah, of course it is. There's two of them. Double your chances.
among men.
I mean, how else do you want to win the
French Open.
the French
That's
Open?
tennis.
I don't know what it's called.
What do they call that
Okay,
big bike
The
race?
Tour de France. There it is.
Tour de France.
From your generation, what's the opinion on Lance Armstrong? When his name comes up, what do you think of?
Oh, I think he's still a champion. I don't like. I don't care that he like every other that same time his story came out. It turned out everyone else in the race was also using, so it was still an even race. What's the big deal?
I think of him only in terms of his cameo in the movie Dodgeball, A True Underdog.
He's the one who really dodged the ball.
Yeah, me too.
Have you seen that movie, Rick?
I have actually.
That's one. Bing, bing, bing. It's so rare for me to find a movie you've actually seen, and it
Yeah.
turns out it's Dodgeball, a true underdog story. What did you think?
Is that your favorite Ben Stiller
I
movie?
loved it.
This is a very
Yeah.
funny Ben Stiller performance.
Yeah, I see very few movies. I saw that and Talladega Nights.
Oh,
Mm.
Talladega
and
Nights
Elf
is
are
so
pretty much
funny.
the only three Will Ferrells I've seen. But yeah, I enjoyed all of them.
Will Ferrell is not in Dodgeball.
Dodgeball
Oh
is
no,
the
I was thinking of Vince Vaughn.
Vince
Mm.
Vaughn.
Who's
Ben
not in
Stiller.
Talladega Nights.
Yeah, that's our bro. That's our bro.
The frat pack, they called them.
Yeah.
Hey, we're old school.
see
Where do you two fall on the who do you think is makes funnier movies, Adam Sandler or Ben Stiller?
Ben Stiller.
I gotta go with you on that one. I do love Adam Sandler's movies, but I think
Sure,
Ben
me
Stiller's
too.
like make me laugh harder.
Yeah. He's more consistent, I think. It's hard not to win the more consistent battle when you're up against Adam Sandler.
I guess so. Adam's got a higher output of content, but I think
a lot of it's
I think
bad.
Ben's. I don't know if they're bad. They're just. I wouldn't necessarily call them bad.
Did you
I
see
don't know, if I
Hubie
were
Halloween?
going-
No, you didn't like it.
I didn't get very far in. A couple laughs, but he's doing a really especially annoying voice. like more annoying than usual.
Sandy Wexler, he does like the same voice.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I liked that one actually.
I did
thought
like
that
Sandy
one
Wexler.
was not bad. Very long for an Adam Sandler movie. It was like 2 hours and 15
I didn't
minutes or
realize how long
something.
it was. Yeah.
But it was a nice movie. Sure.
Which one would you rather have dinner with? Which one do you think is more likable?
Oh, I think you could have. I think you'd have a much more like intriguing conversation with Sandler, just because I think he's been more places. But like Stiller, you could have a better conversation. Like I think a funnier conversation. Although he seems like the kind of person that doesn't actually like to talk that much and like outside of
Yeah, I agree.
acting.
He'd probably only want to talk about like his directing.
But, like,
you can only
yeah.
talk to me about Escape from Dannemora and the third Meet the Parents movie.
But like Sandler, I think he's like, not only does he have the directing, like pedigree, he's got all the acting, the stand-up comedy, and the serious acting role in like one of the craziest movies to come out recently.
Yes, that's true. Ben Stiller hasn't really done a big, dramatic, serious, heavy, dark role like Uncut
Has he
Gems.
tried?
I
know.
don't.
He did Walter Mitty, which was
Yeah, that was a
comedy.
was a what?
More of a dark comedy.
Oh, it was a.
Yeah.
I like Walter Mitty a lot. I've seen it multiple times. I'm one of the 3 people on Earth who've seen it many times.
I feel like
Have
I
his.
you
don't
read
think
the
it's a
story?
dark comedy at all. No, I haven't read the
I feel
story.
like his
It's-
most serious role was when he was in Royal Tenenbaums, but like even that's not that serious
Yeah.
of a movie.
Or the Meyerowitz stories, which also co-starred Adam Sandler. If you've seen that,
I haven't seen it yet, but it does look good.
It's good, yeah, and it's more of a series, but it's not like an Uncut Gems esque.
Yeah, I know.
Like
But-
really digging in deep.
I will say, in terms of comedies, I think Ben Stiller wins it because Tropic Thunder is one of the funniest
Yes.
movies ever made by
Yes,
far.
It's quite an achievement.
When you also go way back to the Ben Stiller show, I'm
Mhm.
prejudiced. I got to hang out with Sandler a little bit.
You opened for
and
him.
that's been one of my big questions lately is how much of your opinion of a comedian is colored by the fact of you knowing him? You know, am I a big Bill Burr fan because I'm a big Bill Burr fan or because I knew him way back when? You know, hanging out with Sandler for a couple nights, does that make me more of a Sandler fan than a Ben Stiller? You know, how objective
I
can
don't
see?
care.
Well, didn't you kind of say in terms of comedy that isn't it about the person?
You
Yeah,
did.
So
that's why
if you like
that's
somebody's
why I
comedy,
phrased
you
it that way.
yeah. So like in stand-up, at least, if you like a comedian more, you probably like that person more.
Yeah.
Right.
But then it goes to funny. That's why I asked the question: who would you rather spend time with? Is more likable? Who do you like more, Stiller or Sandler? And does that affect which you find funnier?
I think Stiller is my choice.
I think outside of
tough one,
comedy,
though.
Sandler would be the better person. Not that either one of them would be a bad person. I think Stiller's
Mhm.
just a little more closed, like closed off in terms of like.
Mhm.
I don't think he's extroverted when it comes to outside the movies.
Well, he grew up in a showbiz fan. I would love to talk to him just about his
Mhm.
parents.
Yes, his father recently died.
Was it recent? Oh, okay.
Oh,
I
that's
guess.
the
I
other
don't
thing.
know.
His
Time is so
father,
hard.
an insanely hilarious actor.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if I could say, right. So it's lunch with Adam Sandler or Ben Stiller, but I can ask them to each bring something with them, and I can ask Ben Stiller to bring the urn with Jerry Stiller's ashes, so that I'm technically having dinner with them both.
You know, we were
So I
that
win.
close to getting Jerry Stiller at the studio.
Really? Tell
What-
us that story.
What happened?
A good friend of ours, who's been a friend of the clubs for a long time, became really good friends with Amy Stiller,
Mm.
the third of the kids, or the sister, whatever. And Jerry was in town for something or other, and our friend talked to Amy, who talked to her father, and her father was going to stop by, but he was at some charity thing and wanted to go back to the hotel instead of stop by. But his daughter had lined up for him, and I had brought like his autobiography to have signed in case. But he was like 80, and he wasn't going to spend a whole night out hopping to clubs.
Now, would he have stopped by to do a set, or
No.
just to sit and watch the show? Okay, yeah, I didn't think of him as a stand-up.
Yeah, just to sort of stop it. Although, if you watch his stuff with his wife, that was some groundbreaking.
Nichols and May.
They were like the step below Nichols. If you couldn't get Nichols and May, you got Stiller and Mirror.
I see. Sure.
Just like if you can't get Ben Stiller, you go with Sandler.
Okay, so that's where you stand.
I wouldn't tell Sandler that he was my second pick.
No, you'd say you're B team, baby. So what did you think of Talladega Nights, though? That is a great
Loved
movie.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was really surprised at how politically correct it was. The Sacha Baron Cohen character, I thought I thought that was just brilliant.
That he was gay.
Well, that they handled almost a gay stereotype. That could have very easily just been a mincing fish out of water, make fun of gays kind of thing. And they didn't go that way. I thought that was a real deft move.
It's one of my favorite comedies, especially out of the Will Ferrell selection of comedies.
Mhm.
Talladega Nights is one of their strongest ones.
Definitely. My dad's favorite part is when he goes to Sacha Baron Cohen and Andy Richter's house, and they've got Elvis Costello and Mos Def just hanging out there. Just no, a no line cameo. They're just sitting there in their garden, drinking tea.
John C. Reilly is one of my favorite actors now.
So okay, here's another one. Who's funnier, John C. Reilly or Will Ferrell, or whose movies I guess are? Because it's tough to say. Because I think John C. Reilly is a better actor.
Yes.
I also think Walk Hard is the funniest movie ever made.
I love Walk Hard a lot. It is very fun. John C. Reilly is like a professionally trained clown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's
I didn't know he was a.
Yeah, he went through the whole school. He's got his own face that he can put on, and he's got his own persona when he puts on the face. I don't think he does anymore, but he's got every clown gets their own face.
I wonder if he's
part of the. Wonder if he's part of the union.
I think he is. There's a good Mark Maron with Riley on it that he talks about the clown stuff, and he's pretty in depth with it.
Yeah, I find that stuff just fascinating.
I don't know if either one of you saw Wreck-It Ralph, the Disney Pixar.
Sure.
That is one of Riley's best roles. He is very good in that.
I'm a good guy, but I'm a bad guy. It's a pretty good impression of John C. Reilly, wasn't it?
There you go.
Kermit the Frog. John C. Reilly voices Kermit the Frog.
Let's go have a drink, Pac-Man. What were you saying, Rick? Please. It's our 69th episode. We're just cutting loose today.
Oh, okay. I was thinking, so that's the structure. Yeah, I would say he was Laurel and Hardy, wasn't it?
He was, yeah. Stan and Ollie. That movie I thought was a little boring.
Didn't see it.
Yeah, it seems like he just hasn't had that that role that sort of moves you from just a really good comic character actor into being in the consciousness.
So with Wreck-It Ralph, it is only a voice acting job, but his voice acting, it's a semi-serious role. It's not. It's a Pixar movie, so it gets emotional at some points, but the emotional parts he does really, really well.
Well, see, I don't want to wreck the building anymore.
Oh, don't act like you didn't cry in that movie.
I don't know if I cried. I fell asleep during the second one. We saw
The second one's
in
not as
theaters.
good as the first, for sure. But
yeah, I don't know if I cried. It's been too long since I see it. I did not see the first one in theaters. I saw the first one by myself, where I tend to cry less. You know what I cried recently at? Again, always will get me. Coco.
Haven't seen Coco yet, but I
Oh,
heard it.
man.
I heard it's a tearjerker.
You grab those tissues if you're gonna watch it. It's beautiful tale. And the movie Onward also made me cry really hard, which I don't think most people had that experience.
That's the one that I saw advertised on all the trash cans around Boston.
Yeah,
right?
it's the one that came out like a week before the pandemic really kicked off. Did not get its due, but it made me
And what
cry
was
really
that?
hard. So it's about these two brothers. They're elves, and they live in a world where magic used to be a thing, but now it's like basically forgotten.
Hmm.
And their dad is dead, and on his birthday, one of the brothers gets a magic staff with a spell to bring the dad back for 24 hours, but they mess the spell up, and it's only his bottom half. So they've got to like take the bottom half of their dad all across the realm and try to like finish the magic spell. And at the end of the movie, here's a spoiler alert: the two brothers get in a fight, and they go off on their own separate ways. And the little brother's thinking about the dad he never had and all the things he wanted to do with his dad on the one day he could hang out with him. And then he realized he did all those things with his older brother, and he realized, I've had a dad the whole time, and it was my brother. And it just got me. They're two nice boys realizing that they love each other. It's the greatest genre of film. Nice boys loving each other.
You could say that's
Don't
also the
type it
plot
into
of
Google.
Talladega Nights.
Yes, of course, yes. Although it always made me sad how John C. Reilly betrayed Will Ferrell in Talladega Nights.
Yeah, but then he comes back.
Yeah, but you still stole his wife and his house.
I mean, his wife and his kids. Yeah.
No, the kids, they get split custody of the kids. They tried to throw a toaster in Jane Lynch's bathtub.
It's so funny how lovable they still make Riley's character even after he steals his wife.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Would you say I would think that sort of the Will Ferrell sort of era that pretty much defined comedy for a decade, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like when his comedies came out, that's what everyone was looking forward to. Like Step Brothers, I remember being huge.
Step Brothers, I remember not being as huge at the time, but in retrospect, has like it occupies a big space in people's minds.
I mean, it gets quoted all the time. It's like one of the biggest like meme factories.
The Catalina motherfucking wine mixer.
Did we just become
I was
best
talking
friends?
to someone the other day about how Dane Cook, now that the history of comedy's being written and all that, Dane Cook
they're
probably
finally
doesn't
writing
get
that?
his due.
I've watched Dane's
for-
movies a bunch of times because they play them. They used to play them on Comedy Central all the time.
Yeah.
Like I've seen.
I mean, for almost a full decade, he was it. He was the most influential one. And I kind of think like Will Ferrell is sort of the same way, as you don't realize it, but yeah, he was the biggest, comedy star for sure, maybe movie star of for a good solid decade.
Sure. Yeah. And even a Will Ferrell movie made me cry.
Oh, which one? Elf.
Stranger Than Fiction.
Oh,
baby.
Stranger Than Fiction's really good.
It's a real good movie. You would like that one, Rick, if you haven't seen it. It's less of a wacky comedy.
It's like his first real like serious role.
Yeah. It's good, and it's about storytelling, and
it's a cool concept for a movie.
Yeah.
Is it based on a book?
I don't think it is.
So
Do you know
the movie is that Will Ferrell at some point realizes that he is actually playing a character in a book that an author is currently writing.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's him like trying to come to terms with like being a character and just finally like pulling the veil back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's cool.
So it comes down to the question of fate and free will.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's like Will Ferrell's like Truman Show moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's not too heavy, but it's a lot less wacky than what came before it.
What do you think is like the best comedy to serious role?
I think it might be. I think it's either Uncut Gems or Jim Carrey in Eternal Sunshine.
Not Truman Show?
I mean, Truman Show is good, but it's still a little funny. There's still like a little bit of good afternoon, good morning, and good night. There's still like a little bit of that, but Eternal Sunshine is so bleak and strange, and not at all really comedic. Well, I guess there's a scene where he's a little. I don't know. I think Eternal Sunshine is better. I'm gonna say Eternal Sunshine.
I haven't seen Eternal Sunshine, so I guess I have to say Uncut Gems
it's
right now.
so good. Oh my gosh, it's a great movie. Charlie Kaufman movie.
I sort of think, is that not the like if you're a comedian going into acting, is that not like where you're trying to go from comedic acting into serious acting?
I think it is for most people at a certain point. What would you say? As for the best example of it.
Talking to me?
Anyone.
Oh, okay.
Open
Well,
dialogue.
I've already said Uncut Gems.
Okay, yeah.
No, I'm looking back. I'm trying to think of my history of comedy because that's always been the thing is all comedians want to become dramatic actors. So there's got to be a couple before Jim Carrey.
Oh, sure. I'm
back.
not saying he was the first one. I think he was.
No, just, but in terms of best, I'm thinking
I see.
someone else must have made that step.
I mean, Woody Allen, your guy, did some of that.
Yeah, but that's more his comedies becoming more serious.
Mm.
rather than him as an
Actually,
actor.
Bill Murray in the
Bill Murray,
different
yeah.
in Steve Zissou is really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like him and Owen Wilson both do a really good job in that. I guess it is sort of a funny movie, but I guess Wes Anderson kind of blurs that line between drama and comedy.
And Rushmore
his first
too.
step was-
If you've seen
Yeah.
Rushmore,
Yeah, the first step was Razor's Edge.
haven't seen
Was
it.
when he was he used his comedy capital to do a dramatic role.
How about Michael Keaton as Batman?
Yeah, I mean, talk about someone who's done just a great job of molding his career from comedy into.
Mhm.
I mean, he was part of the cast of the Mary Tyler Moore variety show with David Letterman.
Wow.
They were like in goofy costumes doing line kicks.
And
Just
now he's
weird to think of.
I will say, I mean,
True.
Keanu Reeves going from Bill and Ted to Matrix.
Yeah, that's a good.
That's
yeah.
a huge shift.
Or to Speed. Speed is the greatest movie ever
He went
made.
from Bill and Ted to doing only serious movies after that.
I know. Well, he did you see the movie Always Be My Maybe on Netflix that came out maybe 2 years ago? So he plays himself, and it's very, very funny. But it's mostly just a cameo, unfortunately.
That's cool.
But that's
Would
the
you
only
include-
other comedic role I'd seen him in.
Would you include Sean Penn?
Yeah.
Who?
Sean Penn?
Not familiar.
Are you talking about the Shaun of the Dead guy?
Yeah, Sean.
No, I was thinking.
Simon Pegg is who I'm thinking of. Sorry.
Michael Pence's brother, Sean Pence.
I'm thinking of the guy who dated Madonna.
Yeah. What else did he
from
do to
Dazed and-
Madonna?
Yeah, he
Rick?
started. I mean, Dazed and Confused was his first real role, right?
Mm-hmm. No, Fast
And-
Times at Ridgemont High.
Okay, and that's pretty much a comedic role.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah.
Simon Pegg got pretty big from doing his own movies into like Star Trek and like Mission Impossible.
Yeah, but he's still pretty goofy in those. But he did get big.
What
And he wrote
about
the
serious
third Star Trek.
actor? What about serious actors going into comedy?
Tom Cruise in Tropic Thunder.
Yes,
almost
that is
never.
very good. Ryan Gosling and
Russell Crowe and
Russell
Nice
Crowe
Guy?
in The Nice Guys is one of
That's-
my favorite movies.
Yeah, I think that's probably the one to beat. They are both so funny, especially Ryan Gosling.
It is so impressive, like because you've
Yeah.
never seen those guys be funny before.
Yeah, the physical comedy, especially.
What do we feel? How do you feel about De Niro's attempt at comedy?
Oh, and Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers.
Well, he's got that. He's got King of Comedy. He sort of runs that line. But
The
yeah, he's been doing
comedian
just
from 4 years
analyze
ago?
This, yeah, analyze this. He does a lot of.
He
movies
that
are
was
supposed to be
was he
funny.
in Analyze This or was that Nicholson?
No, it was it. Yeah. It
Uh,
was him.
I think he's funny. I think it's kind of interesting to see someone who, like serious actors who take each role very seriously, having to take comedy seriously and having it like treat it like a role where they have to like, learn their lines and like act methodically and like become funny,
Yeah. Okay. Best performance as a stand-up.
in a movie.
I think Berbiglia, or the Joker.
Uh,
But I think Sleepwalk with Me. Is
Yeah, I
the
mean,
best.
actors trying to do stand-up.
Oh,
But,
okay,
I mean,
then actors
Bigley
trying
had
to
a
do
background of stand-up.
Yeah.
well, I
Okay,
mean, like, oh, you mean somebody who's not a stand-up comedian, but they're playing a stand-up comedian?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In...
which started with Dustin Hoffman as Lenny.
I think the lockers in Punchline.
I'm
You
trying
know
to.
how all comedy
you guys
clubs have
actually seen
lockers?
Punchline?
No,
I haven't,
I
no.
just
No?
I just know that
You just know there
people
were
like to-
lockers. Okay.
yeah that the comedians had lockers.
It's funny to look back at it now because it's Sally Field and Tom Hanks, who are like two of the
Mhm.
most respected actors.
Mhm.
So to look back at it through those eyes is kind of interesting. That yeah, Hanks does not do a great stand up.
No,
It's
that's not
very difficult to
surprising.
get the hang of. Oh well, what the funny people?
Yeah, man, that movie had so much potential. Did you see Funny People?
I saw that. Yeah.
No, I read the script.
Okay, well, what did you? Okay, so it's like half of a great movie, and then half of a like really bad movie. I thought
It has a shift in the middle. It's
As
also
soon as he-
long.
it's long as shit. It's like 2 hours 40 minutes or something. As
Mhm.
soon as he gets over his magic, as soon as he magically gets healed from his cancer or whatever, it just goes to shit. But before that, I loved it. I remember looking forward to that so much before it came out. I was like 17, idolizing stand-up comedians.
Mhm.
And I thought, oh wow, a true gritty stand-up comedy movie.
Well, and I was thinking,
Whoops.
Apatow had his roots in stand-up. He and Sandler were roommates back in the old improv days.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I had very high hopes going in.
Did they? Yeah, going into reading the script. So what did you think of
Yeah.
the script?
I thought we'd like a typical Apatow in that, yeah, he like sort of gets to the point a little bit too quick. The scene is just kind of there for the scene, and let's get a laugh on the scene and move to the next scene that we're trying to get a laugh with. It read like a good bunch of scenes put together. It didn't really feel like a cohesive
coherent-
story that
Mhm.
grew.
Yeah, it was not.
Yeah, when you get to the middle where it completely changes the direction of the movie.
Yeah. Where he tries to just destroy this woman's like family and life that he used to have a thing for 20 years ago. It's insane.
Yeah, I
what
do
he does.
Pat McLeod was very nice. It gave me a membership to that master class.
Uh-huh.
And I'm doing Apatow. I've already done. I thought I had finished Apatow.
Did you let him know what you thought of his script?
Just said, hey, Judd. But boy, I mean,
Judd, baby.
he's a huge comedy fan. I mean, if you think about it, he was just hanging around and saw Pete Holmes do a set at the Cellar and was like, hey, I think that guy's working from a place of real truth, and basically discovered him. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find a comic that didn't get their start with Apatow.
Now, we're branching off on a lot of
It's
tangents.
probably as close to a gatekeeper or a kingmaker as we have now.
I don't know if Judd Apatow broke through Pete Holmes. Pete Holmes is he had that talk show for a couple years. His stand-up was pretty well known.
Yeah, but the talk show went down, and so that's why Crashing has the theme it does. Is because once he lost the talk show, he had this feeling of, now I've got no income, I have no tour dates, I have no what am I doing? So
so you think he gave
Apatow
him
got
a
him
second
for that
wind?
ground zero, right, where you're questioning God, saying, hey, I thought if I just worked hard and was a nice person, that everything would work out, and I'm sitting here and it's not working out.
Remember when he was mean to Malia Obama at our club?
He bullied Malia Obama at the comedy studio where we.
Do we still have that on tape?
Of course we do. Yeah.
Yeah.
We would, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think
It's in one of the hard drives, I think.
Oh yeah.
Boy, when those
you want
articles
to
came
describe
out.
it for people who don't know what we're talking about?
Sure. Did you actually see it in the flesh, Eli? Because I think I left before.
I was there. Yeah, I was there all night.
Yeah. So you would probably be the best one to recount the tale, paint the picture.
Yeah. So we, it was a Friday night, I think. Pete Holmes said he was going to come do a set, so we were like putting his name out there and everything.
We had the standing room area.
We put standing room. We never did that ever again, but we put in standing room and we packed the whole place out. It was completely full, sold out.
Fuck you to the future pandemic.
Yeah, I know. And there were 2 seats in the very front that hadn't come yet. Like they were already sold. Somebody had those. They just hadn't come yet when the show had already started. And so in the middle of the show, these 2 people come in to get sat, and I ask for their name, and the person's like Obama, and I look, there's no Obama on the list. So I'm like, okay, nice try. Okay, hilarious,
No,
real
so
funny, fucking
you
good
saw her
one.
just thinking like, oh, she's someone's being a smartass.
I had no idea what Millie Obama looked like.
All right.
I- so,
So at this
it
point,
t-
she's just being an asshole.
It's
Well,
also was,
she didn't know
and
that
it was
the-
a crazy night too.
Yeah, someone
Yeah.
making up the Obama name.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, okay, hilarious. But then so they were under a different name, I guess her boyfriend's name. And so I was like, oh, your 2 seats are at the front. Go ahead and get sat, whatever. I showed them to their seats and whatever. Apparently, they were a little drunk during the show. And when it got time to Pete at the end, they were just like whispering and talking like pretty loudly in the very front while Pete was doing his set. And so Pete was getting annoyed. And he was like, kept telling me like, "Hey, can you be quiet? Hey, can you stop
Shut
talking
the
during
fuck
my
up.
He told him to shut the fuck up. At one point, he even like took the curtain to the side and like moved it so it was like covering them
Uh-huh.
to be like, "Do you understand?"
Which is pretty aggressive for Pete Holmes, I would imagine. Who,
they must have just really been talking,
yeah, who
What-
comes
and
off as a
talking,
big teddy
you know.
bear
huh?
and is huge in person.
He's a tall man.
Talking to him backstage, he had that. He's got a very clear idea of how to handle that. Like, first you're very polite and just sort of like, oh, hey, maybe you don't know. And the second time's like, hey, really? It's the third time where it's like, okay, clearly they're going to be an issue. I've got to deal with that as an issue.
Give him the juice.
Yeah.
But boy, you know what? If I saw that in a movie, I wouldn't believe it. The fact that the place was packed and the 2 seats in front
I know.
happened to be them.
It's
I mean,
just,
it's just-
we do it alphabetically, so it's lucky
Yeah.
that her boyfriend's last name started with an A.
Yeah, life
Yeah,
is beautiful.
and then they were talking, and the other comics were commenting on it. Peter Martin came back, and he was like, "Hey, Pete, Pete Holmes. Hey, just a heads up. There's this couple girls on the right side, stage right, that they're talking. They're not being mean, but they're like really talking loud among themselves and sort of stuff. So he had sort of an idea going there. Peter Martin had like thrown a heckler line at them
Oh
to
yeah.
try and get them to shut up. So
Do you remember the line?
yeah, it was the it's a pretty standard line. Are you are you having a good time? Why don't you tell your face?
Yes, man, I miss Peter Martin.
Yeah, me too.
All
Yeah,
right,
he's doing
Pete.
some of the outdoor shows.
Poor.
All right, Peter. Yeah, do a Zoom show, Peter. Come on, that's gonna be the way. But you know what? I respect him for standing true to his morals. No,
Yeah, boy, I mean, it's getting it's
taste.
getting frustrating. Well, it's just weird. Drew Dunn, our good friend Drew Dunn, is playing in Minnesota this week at a comedy club.
Yeah.
Inside.
Yeah,
Seems
Yeah, I mean-
ill-advised.
your basic fly the headliner out, does the show, makes his money, goes to a hotel, probably signs merch afterwards or whatever, comes back,
I mean,
as if it's over.
you saw Corey Rodriguez posted he flew to LA to record a special and came back.
LA
Yeah,
is
well-
doing indoor stuff.
I don't know. I don't think it was indoor. I
Yeah.
think it was an outdoor show, but he flew to LA to record a special.
Yeah, and Comedy Central is doing their half-hour specials. Our
Yeah.
friend Chris Chelios and
Yeah, Christy
someone
Cello's
else-
on it.
And,
Did you see
someone else we know well?
there's a headline that was like, Comedy Central brings comedy back from the dead. It's like, fuck you.
Yeah, it's interesting because they are
We've
doing
been bringing it back from the dead.
Yeah,
Right
It
about
looks
us,
like they are doing
Variety
it-
magazine.
They are
Hey,
doing it kind
Variety.
of like Zoom. They're not doing it in a club with packed people and all that sort of thing. So it looks like they're going to be playing with the format. And it doesn't look like they're planning on like a big terrestrial cable, whatever you want to broadcast, so much as it's it's an online show.
Well, they have like Comedy Central already has their own app that they've had for a while now. They they already post to YouTube a lot. And you can get like a lot of their stand up content on their YouTube channel.
Yeah,
Now-
it seems
So
interesting
they've already
that they're
had the
pushing.
platform.
Yeah, that they're pushing this as here are the new Comedy Central specials. So they're now taking that. It used to be a big deal to get a half-hour Comedy Central special. It seems like they're trying to transfer that sort of gravitas to the online show.
Well, did you see that Comedy Central is retooling a lot of like its programming.
Yeah,
So
and
they're doing it.
I think that's
Yeah, how
smart.
so?
I mean, if you're a TV network and you think that cable TV is gonna last, you're out of your fucking mind. So if you're not transitioning to fully online or like, putting your best stuff on your online content, you're out of your mind.
Well, even what's airing, excuse me, even what's airing on the station, they're shifting to like almost all animation, and I think stand up. I think they're done with sitcoms, like no more Broad Cities or Detroiters or anything like that, and like a heavy emphasis on stand up and animation.
Animation's smart because you can make it without everyone being in the same room.
Yeah,
That's smart.
yeah.
Yeah, the disadvantage is that it takes a long time for the animation to be done. So you can't really do, hey, this happened this week.
That's
You
true.
need-
Well, South Park can. What's
I
stopping
know with
everyone else?
I know with Bob's Burger, I think there's some episodes that's like a full 6 months before they
Oh,
get
yeah.
the animation back.
I mean, like,
Wow.
F is for Family takes forever to make, but like once you make it, Netflix always does the release everything at once model, but if you were Comedy Central, you could easily make that same amount of content, but release an episode once a week for the next 8 to 10 weeks.
So you've got you're running an online comedy network here.
Yeah, my name
does
is Danny
that
Hatch.
affect-
I'm the booker of the Comedy Studio.
Yeah. Does that affect your thinking at all? Like we should be moving more towards something, or we should be planning to?
We don't have the
stay
resources for
online
that.
once we open.
I mean, for now, that's the way to go for a major TV's network. For a comedy club, the bread and butter is live comedy. That's where we are doing the best we can with what we have right now. But I still think once we're allowed to go back, we have that's the bread and butter right there. Is the live comedy in the room? That's this.
Yeah,
the Zoom comedy is good and our shows are good, but I still don't think anything beats being in a live comedy room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been playing around with it in my head a little bit. That I think one of the big appeals of the Comedy Studio that I hadn't realized was the comics that you don't know. That sort of Montreal new faces of here's who we discovered, here who we think is good.
Yeah.
Patton Oswalt used the example of like going to a record store. You're not really going for the record. You're going to sort of go through everything and saying, hey, this is different.
Haven't you been using that example for the last month? And now I'm hearing it's a Patton Oswalt example? I'm just kidding.
I thought I always gave credit.
No,
We'll go back. We'll go back on the tape.
I'm not trying to. It was just funny.
Patton's calling in right now. Oh, shit.
Where it's me. Run me the rat. Why I oughta. You like that movie, Rick? It's all about creating.
Your impersonations are impeccable.
See? Run me the rat. See?
I've been having so much trouble. I finally brought back one of the DVD players from the club. I've got it hooked up, but I'm not getting sound out of the DVD, and now I'm not getting back to the regular cable. So I'm clearly doing something wrong.
Yeah, I think those DVD players are very old, and the cables I think too are. You might need to just try to get new RCA cables. This is some real.
I think you should. I think you should spring for it and get an Xbox.
Well, it's so nice that Brian Longwell gave me a really, really nice television. I have to thank him for that.
I think it's
Why don't
time
you do
to
it now.
I think it's time to get Rick into game streaming.
Thank you, Brian.
I think it's time to get Rick on the Twitch channel.
It's gotta. It's. I mean,
we gotta get you playing all the hits.
I poked around a little bit on Twitch.
Yeah, what'd you think?
Yeah, I did.
Did you watch AOC play Among Us?
I didn't watch it, but 400,000 people did.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah,
it's a fun game.
I liked Montreal Comedy Festival went all online, and Andy Kindler's State of the Industry address is something I always look forward to every year. It's like a real highlight for me. And they did it online with a chat room next to it. So you had some really big name, really funny comedians, really funny industry people chiming in during it. And that was great. But when I watch something else where I don't know it that well, people making comments like, oh, that's good. Oh, you suck. It's just, it takes away from it. So I don't know how I feel about the whole Twitch interactive commenting thing.
Well, for gaming, it's a different experience. You're not watching a stand-up show. You're watching, you're either watching somebody play a competitive game or you're watching somebody play a single-player game. And Twitch has done a couple cool things where like they have something called Twitch Plays where the chat is programmed to actually control the game. So if people type in up, the character moves up. If you type left, character moves left. And they've done that with like Pokemon and they've beaten the game
Wow.
amazingly. It took forever, but
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds interminable.
they you have to constantly switch systems where it's either a vote system where like a move gets a certain number of votes
Oh my
and then a move gets made, or it just goes free form and it goes
Wow.
crazy. But we need to get you, Rick. We need to get you playing. We need to get you playing Call of Duty. We
Yep.
need to get you playing Among Us. We got to get you playing all the hits.
We gotta have you getting super high on the
Well,
drug of
I
your
see.
choice and shooting Nazis in the face.
I sat in on some of the chess.
Oh, we'll get you
They
playing
do,
Chessmaster online.
Yeah, they do 5-minute chess game, chess.com, 5-minute time limits, and they have people just talking shit
Yes.
in the chat room. And the world champion a couple times has like gotten drunk and gone on there and just been, under an assumed name
Wow.
and just like kicking ass and talking shit.
That is hilarious.
You were on the high school chess team, right?
Yes. Yeah.
A lot of ladies.
First board. Yeah, it was citywide. Yeah, first board Buffalo.
You were
Senior year, I
firstborn in your
was-
family? I thought you have an older sibling.
No. I'm firstborn and I was first board.
Wow. This
And it
chess
looks like
story
I'm
has
becoming-
me first board.
And I'm becoming the first board here. So
Uh-huh. I beat you
see
to
what
it
I
though.
did there? Yeah, changed
Yeah.
it to a verb.
Uh-huh. Yeah, just 3 seconds after I did it. But really, my thoughts are like a record store. You just go in there, you pick what you like, and then you
Mhm.
burn it onto your own CD. Hey, how's your brother doing? Speaking of your family.
Burn
Last-
it onto a CD. Huh.
Well, I'm saying you take
yeah.
my thoughts and make them your own.
Fine. He's going back to work.
Oh, good.
Oh,
Did he
congratulations.
get his test
so
results?
It's just, test result came back negative, and he's got
Really?
he's getting a little bit of taste back
Huh.
with being able to taste his toothpaste a little bit.
That's a
I
bummer.
think he
It's
tested
the first
positive.
thing. Okay.
He tested positive, but so late that he goes back to work on Monday.
Okay.
So it took like 5 days or 6 days to get the results back.
Okay.
So Monday will be 2 weeks.
Well, he really lucked out then. Sounds like a very mild case.
I got a
Yep.
little paranoid the other morning because I thought I couldn't like smell or taste anymore.
Uh-oh.
So, while taking a shower, I licked my soap bar, and I was like, I can still taste.
Good thinking.
What? You couldn't have waited till your shower was done? Go in the kitchen?
no, I needed to make sure. I could still taste.
Well, we working with Irish Spring, Dove.
Oh no,
What,
this is some handcrafted local
Ah.
Somerville stuff.
Okay. Oh, so it tastes better.
It
than the
tasted pretty.
mass-produced
It tasted pretty bad.
swill.
Smelled
Well,
pretty
I'm
good.
glad you were able to taste it. I know what you mean though. I like to have a fan blowing on me at night, so I always wake up dry and stuffy. And now we have 2 cats in this house, and I am allergic, so I always wake up all stuffed up, and I'm like, oh my god, is this it? Did it finally get me? Because I'm sure I would die if I got it.
Really surprised me because I would think your generation would be more, we're young and we're invincible and all this stuff doesn't matter. But you two seem very, very concerned. Are all your contemporaries, are all your friends having that same, oh my God, this might be it feeling?
Well, I have one of my roommates has been smoking cigarettes for 11 years, so he's pretty concerned. But
Is he still smoking?
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Even though he has a jewel.
He empties those things in a day. It's not.
So it's just an add-on for him.
He doesn't
not
use
a-
the jewel anymore. He's just a cigarette boy still. But I mean,
Hard to beat the classics. Hey, I know what it's like.
a lot of these, I do know some people that don't take it as seriously, but I don't think there's anyone thinking at least that I know, that thinks they're invincible. And if they do, they're stupid.
It just seems like it's so uncertain how bad it could be. Like you could get a mild case
If
like
you
your
get it,
brother's, or you could be like that Broadway guy who was like 40 and in great shape and died.
Hmm.
You just don't know. So that's what's really scary to me. And you could be around people who have it and they don't know it, and they could be giving it to you.
I'm not as concerned about what's gonna happen to like my health if I got it, but like it's the transmission thing that really bugs me. Is like
And
giving it.
transmitting it without knowing it.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
just who could I transmit it to? Like how much would it spread? You know.
Yeah. Did you hear
Yeah.
it can spread over the phone now? Just through your
There's
voice?
some, there's some Malcolm
It's based
Gladwell
on the
stuff.
words you say. If you say the wrong word,
Yep.
Like during the Blitz in London, when like 1 out of 3 people would be killed by a bomb or something. Just absolutely absurd. The thinking in the
I'm
military, of
sorry.
course, is if we kill a whole bunch, people will be more worried. They'll be more scared. That's how you win a war. But what they found was that you get the survivor syndrome. That if someone right next to you gets killed, you don't think, "Oh shit, that could have been me." You think, "I'm special. That's not going to happen to me."
Mm.
That you have to make that cognitive dissonance of there's something different, because if you think of how close it was, you can't function. So like with COVID or with anything else, I wonder how much of this is now, well, yeah, I'm not going to get it.
1 out of 3 people died during the
It was
Blitz in
something.
London. Jesus.
Yeah, no,
I mean they bombed the town. What do you think
we're hit.
happened?
But
Yeah,
it's London.
we're hit by a bomb or something. Yeah, well,
They're
Peter
going in.
Bowers was alive during that, and he said, yeah,
Uh-huh.
they went to the
The
every
tube.
day they would go into the subways and
Tube.
live there to try to survive the bombing.
We used to go to the basement of the church when there were tornadoes. If we could get there in time.
Memphis doesn't have any basement, so we would just go to our hallway that doesn't have any windows.
Right. Oklahoma doesn't either, but some places would. Like houses, for the most part, did not. But if we had enough warning, we would go to a church, or if not, we would put on our bike helmets and go to the laundry room.
Were you around for any like house get devastated
Mhm.
near you or anything?
So our backyard neighbors had their roof torn off.
Mm.
And they were all fine, and their house was okay besides that. But I remember their roof got torn off. And one time when I was a junior in high school, my sister and I were staying late because they were doing physicals for kids who were doing sports next year. Like they were getting them all out of the way. My dad, it was in like May, which is tornado season. My dad had come to pick us up, and we were walking to the car. And then they called us back into the gym, and we had to like run back into the gym because a tornado was nearby. We had to, because the gym had a basement, and we had to outrun a tornado. I mean, it wasn't that close,
Wow.
but that was the closest I had come to
Wow.
being in like a life-threatening tornado situation. Pretty fun stuff.
It's very scary. I mean, I had never, being East Coast, I had never been in anything like that. And when I was in Nebraska for that comedy festival, the hurricane or tornado alarm went off,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone is just standing there. I'm like, what? Don't we do something? Oh,
Yeah.
you wait until there's 3 before we go down to the basement. I'm like, oh, okay.
We had a tornado warning here in Bethesda like a month ago. I woke up from a nap, and Rosa was like, "Oh, by the way, there's a tornado warning." And I was like, "What? Well, tornado warning? No, not a watch, because it goes watch then warning. And
Yeah,
once it gets
yeah.
the warning, you're in trouble." And so I like manically like emptied out our closet so we could go in there if we needed to, and it was fine. But I was like, man, they found me.
There was a time where my parents went on a vacation, and so it was me watching, just watching our dog while they were gone. And that same week that they were gone, there was a huge tornado in Memphis, and like heavy rains. So me and my dog are just huddled in the hallway, just the two of us.
Aw.
And like this while I'm like a freshman in high school. And like the tornado goes on for so long that I have to like take my dog out into the backyard while it's still like raining, and like the backyard is flooded at this point. It's a concrete backyard, so we like just like huddle through the water, and she goes to the bathroom. I have to dry her off with the towel like 3 times, and like keep doing that throughout the whole day.
Your parents left you alone when you were a freshman? They went away on a vacation when you were a freshman?
Yeah.
And just left you alone in the house? Wow, you must have been a responsible kid.
No. Not like any of the cool irresponsibilities, just like the sad, lonely,
Sure. But you didn't burn the house down.
nerd irresponsibilities. No, I just smoked weed and played Skyrim on my computer.
So there you go.
The tornado should have taken us.
Maybe
Danny,
the
how
weed
old were you
warded
when
it
your
off.
parents left you alone? Did it feel like a big responsibility?
I mean, I had little sisters, so I would watch them, but I don't think they left us alone. When I was like a senior in high school, they all went on a vacation and I had to work. I had my shifts at McDonald's.
Hmm.
So they left me alone then, but I was like 17. Probably no, I was probably 18. So it's certainly not as a freshman for like leaving the state overnight.
Mhm.
They would leave me alone in the house for up to an hour now for some amount of time, but never overnight. So does that answer your question, bitch?
Did you learn something?
Yeah, I sort of wonder when people get that move. I think it's usually around 14 that you start feeling a sense of responsibility. That it's not just, oh, I get to stay up late. It's okay, I can pick my own bedtime, but I need to know I have to get up tomorrow, or I need to get this done first. When you start getting that feeling that the good things also have consequences.
I'm still not there yet.
Yeah.
Consequences for my actions?
Responsibilities.
What? What language is that?
Laundry.
How old were you when your parents left you alone? You must have been a latchkey kid. It was the roaring 70s.
No, I was at the very end of that. So my mom was home the entire time I was growing up, but my brother was. My mom started working at his grade school, which was just horrible for him. And she started she was like the lunch lady, and then
my mom was the lunch lady at my middle school.
Yeah. You know what? I did
not every
know
day,
it.
but she would she'd come in a few days. Yeah.
I've been talking to my sister a lot, and I didn't realize. I thought she was a teacher's assistant or something or other. Like, by then, I was in college and couldn't care less about my old neighborhood. In fact, I found out this past week from my sister that when the summer I was 19, there was a serial killer loose.
Oh.
2 blocks from my house.
Wow.
His first killing was in the supermarket we go to, which is on the way to the park I always went to play tennis at.
In the supermarket?
Every day. Supermarket parking lot, yeah.
Oh, parking.
Okay. Oh, okay. Then, not in aisle
his
6.
Second killing was at the Burger King that we went to for lunch.
Oh, my
after playing
gosh.
tennis. The 22 caliber killer, yeah. He ended up killing 12.
Wait. His name was the 22 caliber killer?
Well, I don't think that was his birth name, but yeah, that's the name they gave him. Yeah. Otherwise, who didn't see that coming?
And what was the significance of a name?
I think it was just laziness.
Why did they name him that? Okay.
Yeah.
So he had a 22 caliber.
12. Yeah, of the 12, I think like 2 or 3 were killed with a 22 caliber gun.
Oh.
But mostly it was stabbings.
Oh, so the sometimes 22 caliber killer, but other times stabbing guy.
The mostly stabbing, but sometimes 22 caliber killer.
Yeah. Yeah, the stabby killer just doesn't have the same.
Sir stabs a lot, didn't stick.
See, serial killers are a foreign concept. I mean, like I just have never encountered or really had a fear of serial killers. It's mass shootings have replaced that for me. Growing up, I don't think there were serial killers were a concern.
Really, in Oklahoma? Huh.
Yeah, in Oklahoma in the 90s and 2000s? Nah.
Yeah, because you're thinking more like the federal building. It's like, if it's going to be something, it's going to be something big that encompasses all of us.
We used to take people to the memorial. Like if we had visitors from out of town, we would go to the Murrah Building bombing memorial. And they had a tree there was a tree that survived the blast called the survivor tree. And they would put like the clothes of the little kids in the daycare who died on it. Like it's kind of a grim place to take people.
The tree is the symbol of surviving the blast.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was interesting. It turned out that these killings in Buffalo were racially motivated. It was all black men. Yeah, he was in. He killed like 3 or 4 in Buffalo, and then there were killings in New York City. And he was eventually caught in Georgia, I think it was, because he was in the army. He was a private and felt that it was his duty to try and cleanse the race. So he was killing black
Oof.
men.
Well, that's unpleasant.
Yeah, it was a very, very difficult time, religion wise or religion race wise.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of bombs being thrown around too back then,
Mm-hmm.
right? A lot of people
Yeah.
making bombs. We don't. That's another thing. It seems like bomb making has gone out of fashion at this
Although I
point.
We
saw
need
a
the comedy studio needs to
Molotov
bring
cocktail.
bomb making back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've been doing our part to bring bombing back.
Yeah. I don't know. Apparently, with the Seattle protests and stuff, I think there's been some Molotov
Bombs?
cocktails and those sort
Well,
of
yeah,
things.
but that's not a bomb.
Hmm.
That's like an incendiary.
Hmm.
I'm talking about like people making. I guess the Boston bomber was the last true high profile, the marathon bomber.
Mm.
So
Didn't the 13 that plotted to kidnap the governor recently also have explosives ready?
That's true. That's true. But they didn't activate them. But yeah, they did.
I remember
Have them.
how on edge Boston was after that, because that happened the spring right before me moving to Boston to go to college. So like freshman year, I remember like there was a backpack left on Boylston Avenue, and like the bomb squad came in, covered it in the big giant bull shell that you locked down, and then blew it up
Wow.
with a controlled demolition.
I remember I was in New York at the time, and I worked in an office building. I was a temp at Playbill, which I think I've talked about a little bit. And we had to do evacuation drills. We were on like the 18th floor, and we had to walk down the stairwell as a big group. One day they did an evacuation drill, just in case. It was a few weeks after the marathon bombing.
So sort of like a fire drill, except
Mm-hmm.
this could be bigger.
Yeah, yeah. Because they were planning to come to New York, I think, those two.
Oh yeah.
But they didn't make it for some reason.
Well, we know why. Right there by your corner.
I know. And isn't that crazy? Those two gas stations being right across the street from each other.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, there's so many things like that in history where you just go, if you put it in a book, I wouldn't believe it.
Rosa lived on River Street at the time, and saw the cop cars going down the street the wrong way over the bridge into Watertown.
Yeah,
Oh, shit.
yeah, and your kids will not care.
Yeah.
We'll be like, you don't understand, the whole city shut down. And like, yeah. we
I
just had a
barely care.
plague. Yeah.
Oh, they're not going to care. There's going to be something way worse than this plague. They're going to be like, yeah, okay, Grandpa, whatever.
No, yeah.
You all got to
Yeah,
stay
okay,
inside
try
for a
all
year.
of Earth being on fire right
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
Yeah. We're going to sound just like our grandparents of, well, it was the Depression.
Mm-hmm. But this is pretty crazy that we're living through this still.
Yeah. I was thinking about that. So many comedians have bits about, what excuse are we going to have? How are we going to look back on the old day? Oh, I had dial up. I had, the basically jokes about how easy we have it now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think those jokes work anymore. It's like,
Yeah. Kids don't have it easy today. They
no,
have it very
they
hard.
have it easy. They just have the paranoia, laying over it.
Yeah.
I mean, the
It's
Like,
stress
yeah, they
is
got the
ridiculous.
Xbox. They got,
but that's not living easy.
No, but it does, this pandemic would be so much harder if we didn't have communication tools like we have now. Like we have Zoom. Streaming is pretty easy. It's
Think of all the books we'd read, though. I look at the stack of books that I just haven't read, and I'd be like, if this had happened in the 90s,
what a good book.
I'd be plowing through books.
yeah.
I mean, if I'd also been my age in the 90s when it happened, too.
I would have watched so many VHS tapes.
Mm-hmm.
Probably
Right?
would've watched...
You'd go to you'd put on all your PPE to go to Blockbuster.
Yeah. You think, I mean, we were close to the food chain, food supply lines not holding, I mean,
Mm-hmm. Certainly the toilet paper supply lines fell through.
yeah.
One-ply supply line.
When did they stop doing that? When did they stop? Well, I went to the supermarket just this week, and they were still counting people coming in and out. But I haven't seen a line in a long
okay.
time.
I see lines outside of Trader Joe's usually, but not...
Still? Huh.
market value. Yeah,
Here they don't do any of that.
they still do the counting and all that for sure.
But the Trader Joe's in Cambridgeport we used to go to, they had stopped. They had. I remember there had stopped being a line by the time we left,
Hmm.
which was late July. Um, but I still
Yeah, and
see
that's an
everywhere.
interest-
What? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's an interesting spot because that is 1 block away from a Whole Foods.
Hmm.
So you almost have this like hipster war going on.
And the
of,
Whole Foods always had a line.
Yeah, I remember
Always.
seeing that.
and the Whole Foods also had its employees walk out because they
Mhm,
were wearing Black Lives Matter masks,
mhm.
and this store said no, you can't.
Oh, this is great. You'll like this. My girlfriend for fun went to a sex store the other day,
Ah,
and she told me that when she went there, all the workers of the sex shop were having a strike outside the store.
oh, so
Oh, over what?
over what?
I guess unfair wages or something like that, but
Mm.
like just the idea of sex shop employees picketing outside of the sex shop.
So and there was no one in there to help her then?
I guess
Store
she
was
was able to
closed?
peruse, but
Huh.
I think the
I
owner
wonder
was
what-
still in there, but like the workers were not. But it's
Hmm.
power to the
Yeah, I
people.
wonder
You
which
should,
sex
if
shop.
of course, all workers should have the right to strike, but
Yeah.
just
Do you know which sex shop? Because
No,
Hubba
no.
Hubba just had. I can't imagine them having a problem just because I think it was just last year that their founder and the person who put it all together just passed away.
it was
Mhm.
probably a
But I'd be
bigger one.
surprised if there was a problem there.
But one of them probably had a sign that said, "Please stop making us try all the products before we sell them."
I'm surprised brick and mortar sex shops are still alive and kicking.
There's
Yeah,
enthusiasts out there.
The convenience factor of ordering online plus the embarrassment factor.
Well, but like
Going into the
when it
shop.
comes to very specific items, imagine like
That's
ordering
true.
something without asking questions first. Like you could at
Yeah.
a sex store, you can be like, I mean, do you think I can handle that?
You gotta try it on.
You got
Yeah,
you
I
bring a
think
giant dildo up. You're like, do you think I'm ready?
One day there's gonna be technology. Like Warby Parker has. You can try out glasses online. Where like you can do your camera and they'll overlay the glasses.
Yeah, yeah.
We're gonna get to a point where there's some technology where like you can try out butt plugs online.
I think.
I don't know how, but I know we'll get there.
Rick, how do you feel about VR? Would you ever try VR out? Virtual
Oh, I'd love
reality.
to try it. Yeah.
It's getting cheaper. Like the new Oculus is only $300. That's the base price. It's not bad.
Hmm.
Me and
Yeah,
my
I
roommate are
think-
considering getting one.
Yeah, I think the sex shops are very similar to bookstores
Mm-hmm.
in that they made that sort of pivot from being, oh, you go there just to get something to, you're looking for recommendations, you're looking for advice, you're part of that community.
You just like the way
They've
it
done a
smells
real
in
good job
there.
of pivoting.
Which
that way.
flavor do you like more, strawberry or mint?
Well, this seems like a good place to segue into the recommendations.
We start with ISIS, we end with sex shops. That's
I
the
don't
way
need to
we
go do the spiel about how we do recommendations here. So, Rick, why don't you go first?
Oh, okay. For a local business, I'm going to go
Mhm.
with Block 11,
Mm.
which is a nice little coffee shop that has
Mhm.
completely pivoted. So you go to the front door and there's a self-serve little screen there, and you type in what you want, and then you just walk over to the side. And if you want to make a reservation, you can get an outside table.
You touched the
Mhm.
screen?
Yeah. Yeah,
Mm.
there's wipes in there and everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can get one of those like touchscreen brass keys.
Yeah. So it was really, it was really nice just to, because I haven't gotten over to that side at all.
Mhm. What did you order?
I just got a coffee with the idea of, look at me, I'm supporting. But yeah, it really struck me that you had about a dozen people outside spaced at picnic tables, and they seem to have been able to keep that community atmosphere that they started with.
Good.
So that was pretty cool. For comedy, boy, there's just so much. You know what? I would say go with Chris Fleming. Is
Mhm.
a really terrific comic. Started out with us, and not like anybody else. If you go to his website, chrisflemingfleming.com, his one-man show, Show Pig, is available, and it's the whole show for free. And he's just he's really different. In fact, he's doing a show that competes with ours, so I'm not going to plug.
Good.
He's doing
Thank you.
his own show from the forest near
Mm.
his house
Well,
in Western Mass.
sounds like a terrible show. Why would you
Yeah.
ever go to that instead of ours? Speaking of Chris Fleming, he was in Vulture recently, wasn't he, Rick?
Oh yeah, that was cool. I forget what was that last week or this week that we mentioned that.
Last week.
Okay.
But you were quoted. We did not mention that you were quoted.
Oh, what was
I
the quote?
quoted.
So he was. So Chris Fleming is one of Vulture's like 20 comics to watch in 2020, and they do little interviews with all of them. And in Chris Fleming's interview, they asked, "What is the best comedy advice and the worst comedy advice you've ever received, either when you were starting out or more recently?" And Chris Fleming answers, "Rick Jenkins, owner of the Comedy Studio, taught me that through clarity with your audience, even the most absurd idea can be accessible. Also, that no idea is too absurd." So look at that.
And that was best
that
advice
funny?
or worst advice?
That was best advice,
Okay.
yeah. And then worst advice, he also went into. And the worst advice was from an old college acquaintance who told me to be more mainstream. So look at what a feather in your cap that must have been. When I read it in the bathtub late at night 2 weeks ago, I sure got excited.
Yeah, I'm thinking because we teach the classes
As I am wont to get.
we teach the classes, and I think I'm going to put together. There's a few quotes like that from people who've become more famous, and maybe just put together a little ad for the classes saying like, "Oh, he's giving decent advice to some people."
Speaking of classes, this episode comes out at 8:00 p.m. roughly. And tomorrow is the deadline to sign up for the workroom, the comedy workroom.
Yeah,
I don't
Kathy and I
know
went over the syllabus
what time
yesterday, and I'm really excited about that.
There's a syllabus for the workroom.
Yeah, that's going to be
Wow,
more. Well, how
look
much
at
of
that.
it do we want exercise? You know, that sort of thing. How it's going to be structured, and that's more what we do. With the studio, anyways. You know, you bring what you want to do, what you want to accomplish. How do I get from here to there? Whether it's promotion or writing or performance or whatever. The workroom is more okay. We've got something now. Let's work with it, as opposed to the classes, which is more. Let's start from ground zero and develop 5 minutes.
And so people can sign up for that on our website, thecomedystudio.blogspot.co.uk. Right?
Something like that, yeah.
For my local business recommendation, I'd like to recommend Salt River Lobster. It is a traveling fresh fish food truck that is near us every Friday. And we like to get our fresh fish and scallops from the Salt River Lobster food truck every Friday. We had branzini one time. We had walleye last week. We got some walleye fillets, and I made a cream sauce. Very nice guys, very quality food. If you're in the Maryland area, you can go to their website, which is something along the lines of saltriverlobster.com, and you can see where they'll be each day. But every Friday, they're in Bethesda.
Yeah. Now, with your experience in Portugal, you're becoming quite the seafood expert. How does it stack up?
Oh, I don't know. It's all fishy to me.
Oh.
And for my
you're
comedy
giving me a headache.
Huh? Okay, good. Are you done?
Kipadata, very fun. It's called Fish Dreams. He's got about a 5-minute thing of all fish puns. One big story. It's very similar to the Nick Danger thing, but not as good.
Cool.
You ever hear Nick Danger, Private Eye?
No.
Firesign Theater. You would love that.
Okay. Why would I love it? Did they talk about me?
Firesign Theater. They were the first to really put together, to get high and put together sketches.
Ah, great. Love
and
it.
Their stuff is really, really inventive and creative. And yeah, I think you would love it.
Great. Well, my recommendation is Fireside Theater. No, my comedy recommendation. How could it be anything but Borat 2? Wah wah wee wah. Have you seen it yet, fellas?
No. I'm gonna watch it this week though.
You gotta watch it. You too, Rick, if you can.
Yeah, only the clip. I've seen the Giuliani.
The Giuliani clip.
segment.
Not even the craziest thing in the movie, but pretty crazy. But there's a twist at the end of the movie that I couldn't breathe. I was laughing so hard. Also, there were many points in the movie where I was laughing very hard, but the end is just excellent. So
I hear there's a lot of also you take away a lot of scary political feelings of
Take
It's not completely uplifting.
No, it's not. I mean, well, there are some parts of it that are actually uplifting, but there are other parts of it that are really upsetting and in line with his Showtime series that he did a couple years ago. Who is America? Or This Is America?
Who is America?
There's a scene where he goes to like a freedom rally and he sings a song that people sing along to, and the lyrics are quite inflammatory,
Oh God.
to say the least.
Yeah,
But it's great.
We heard about that, right?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
And you might have even seen video, like amateur video of it taken when it happened. So yes, it's a very scary song he sings. That the crowd just like blithely sings along with about chopping up journalists and anyway.
Oh God.
But the movie itself very funny, and we watched it after the debate last week, and it was a nice little salve after the debate. All right, Eli, take us home.
So my local business is going to be. I have forgotten.
We're running out of them, aren't we?
Building tension, jeez.
I forgot what my. Let me go with my comedy recommendation first, and I'll rethink it. My comedy recommendation is I rewatched the first Borat because I needed to catch my girlfriend up before we watched the new one, and it's still amazing. It
holds up.
Oh, it holds up just as well as it did when it came out, if not better. Because there's a scene in the beginning where he's like taking a dump outside of like Trump Hotel in New York.
Yeah, they call back to that in this one. What did your girlfriend think, who had never seen Borat?
I don't think she likes watching like comedy that's like cringeworthy. So it was hard for her to watch, but she did like it.
Mm-hmm.
She is excited to watch the second one.
It is impressive how many jokes he crams into these movies. Like not even the ridiculous, crazy shit, but just everything is so funny. There's a gag about fax machines in this one that is not wild, but it's just really funny.
He really is able to adapt to like the situations he puts himself in really well.
Mm-hmm. He is. He lived undercover for like 5 days in character in this one. I mean, he just it's impressive.
A question. So
Okay.
let's say some of these clips we're talking about and stuff. Where would we put them? Could we say go to the Comedy Studio Facebook page and we'll put the clips up there or something?
Of like the Borat
Or
movie?
something? Is there a way we can share some of this information we have with our fans?
Nah.
If you want to watch Borat, go to Amazon Prime.
Yeah. You gotta do it for yourself, bro.
Borat and Borat 2 are
lead you to
available
the
on
water.
Amazon Prime if you have an Amazon Prime account.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
If
can't
we're
make you do it.
recommending things, I think we should probably have a way for people to.
It's
follow
a
up on it.
it's a noble idea, certainly. But it's more work than I want to do for the podcast.
I guess that shows you don't read the comments on these videos.
Yeah, Rick, have we gotten any comments today?
Let's check on Facebook. No, not today, but I do put when we have a guest, I do post a link to their thing that they're plugging
Yes.
when they say it.
So,
But
Rick, you're more than welcome to tag it up with all the links.
So
in the world.
we have a Facebook page, and I could just put some clips.
the comment section of this video, you can put links in. Also, our Facebook page. Yes, the Comedy Studio does have a Facebook page.
Yeah,
I will start filling it up.
it's facebook.com/the comedy store. We can snag that.
Yeah, that's for the Comedy Store, baby. Comedy Store Boston.
All right.
Contact.
Well, that's episode 69, fellas. We did it. 32 episodes we've done in a row now in quarantine.
How do you feel about it, Danny?
Hey, we've been very consistent.
You were not excited about the previous incarnation. How do you feel about the quarantine?
Much better.
The new startup.
I have a hard time being on stage with other people. Makes me too nervous. But doing it like this also makes me nervous, but less so.
With full muting power, you feel so much more comfortable.
Oh, yes.
That's a good point. We should put some kind of link for because you've got a fan. One of your podcast fans is a regular on the on the virtual shows.
Mm-hmm.
We should make sure that he can see both.
Yeah. You can tell him.
Okay.
He might be listening. He wrote to say that he knows me from the old podcast I worked for, and he's been coming to our shows quite frequently. Very
Thank
yeah,
you
I'll
so
make
much.
sure that he knows the podcast.
Shout out to Frank.
Thank you, Frank.
Yes, Frank you. Yeah, Frank,
Thank
listen to the
you very
podcast.
much.
I can't be any more clear than I am now, telling you on the podcast. Okay, well, bye.
All right. See you later.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Ooh, pizza's here.